Hello guys, so today I want to talk about the dynamic involved in the backswing. But first of all, I'm Mr. D, and you, my friend, you can call me Thomas. I make video about my journey trying to master the game of golf, and as I go I share my thought, my experience, so you can improve as well. And this is exactly what I'm doing today, because I just come out of my training session. I just understood some stuff that are, I think, very important in order to get a good backswing. So I had an issue in my swing where I actually tend to go long. I thought that was because of my flexibility. I'm too flexible and so on, but you can see pro players that are actually very flexible but yet are not going that far in their backswing. So why? And today I started experimenting because I wasn't happy with the way my backswing was looking and so on. So because I tried to hit fade and this impacted my backswing, and so I wasn't happy with that. And so I started experimenting, and a few things clicked together, because one of the most important things when it comes to power is your ability to take the club fast from the start. This is something that is relatively new, I think, people, but for me that was kind of obvious, because you're creating some polymetric motion where your muscle has to react harder. The faster you take the club back, the harder your muscles are going to have to react in the opposite direction, and so therefore you're creating more force and speed in your downswing. And so there is this aspect, but then there is also the other aspect, which is slowing down. And this, I think, the issue that I was doing until now was primarily keep going until I'm going back in the opposite direction, where in order to take the club faster and faster, if you don't want to overswing, you also need to learn the skill to slowing down. And this is what I clicked, well, okay, the takeaway, you need to accelerate, you need to move the club freely and as fast as you can, but finishing the downswing is really about slowing down, and as you slow down you are putting the club in the right direction. And this idea is very important, because after the takeaway the club starts getting on plane, and therefore the club head starts getting heavier and heavier in your swing, which if you are not creating counter forces, this can cause you to be flat or all kind of stuff. And also it's going to vary a lot depending on if it's a short club or if it's a long club. And I think with this idea of slowing down, guiding the club in the right position, and reducing the momentum as you finish the backswing instead of doing the opposite, which is after the takeaway keep going with the motion, which causes the club to go with the momentum. If you are not continuously accelerated, you just keep going, and so it's and because the swing plane, the club is going to flatter and flatter, or the impact of the club head and the length of the club is going to be bigger and bigger as you go. But if you, after the takeaway, you are slowing down, you are reducing the momentum of the club, you are reducing the impact of the length of each club. And so what I think, and maybe I'm wrong, but maybe just by slowing down you can be able to actually put the club in the right position with every club without having to try to change a lot between different clubs. And so that's the first aspect, which is about consistency, where okay, by just after the takeaway slowing down and putting the club in the right direction as you slow down, that's the first aspect, because you with every club you can be consistent, you can repeat the same motion and so on. But by learning this skill of slowing down, then you can learn this first skill of accelerating at the takeaway, and you cannot do it in the other way around. I tried, I failed. So if you take the club fast and you haven't learned yet the skill of slowing down, then it's going to be messy. You are not going to be consistent. You may hit the ball a little bit further, but with a very hard time controlling where you hit it. So that's what I'm going to focus on, and maybe you should try it as well. Just try to slow down. Just keep the shoulder rotation going, but the club, even that I tried, and actually I'm going too far when I keep going with my shoulder. So I'm not there yet on how I'm going to slow down, but I think that's the main things I need to work on my swing, and maybe this is something that you can take on in your swing, in your training. So I hope it's interesting. I hope it makes sense, and you understand a little bit better the dynamic involved in the backswing, and maybe in another time we'll talk about the dynamic involved in the downswing, because I also understood something very interesting during this session. But anyway, thanks you for watching, and I'll see you next time.